The somewhat unique episode of Raw, one that didn't feature most of the advertised matches, was rumored to be a result of Vince McMahon flipping out. According to PWInsider.com, the reason Monday Night Raw seemed like a bit of an odd show was because it was rewritten, and rewritten again. A 3-hour program that featured a lot of talents fans haven't seen in a while, but also wins by unexpected talents, and what appeared to be a shoot fight during the Nia Jax and Charlotte match was just the start of a show that felt different from many of the Raws that preceded it. Mike Johnson of PW Insider writes, "Yesterday was one of the longest days in a long time for the WWE creative team." According to several sources who reached out to PWInsider.com today, they add that McMahon was extremely unhappy with the original plans for the show, ripped up the script several times, and even tossed out the initial rewrite. They note that in that rewrite, some of the ideas were actually pretty good, but Vince ditched most of them, before finally writing the show himself. They add, until 6 p.m. estate, there was no official direction or plan for the episode, and added, one source who went through the process described it as the loudest and angriest they'd ever seen McMahon on a show day. Reports like this should be taken with a bit of skepticism. At the same time, it was clear Monday's Raw was unique. It's fair to assume there were last-minute changes, and that either stars weren't available or Vince just decided to scrap everything the company had promoted the week prior, including 2 advertised matches. While the idea that Vince has all these writers and doesn't listen to any of them is troubling, but also that the talent likely had little idea what was expected of them prior to going out and performing isn't wonderful news. That said, the show was rather interesting and at times, quite entertaining. Sure, some of that might have been akin to watching a car crash live, but good portions of the show were well done. The latest report by WrestlingNews.co states that WWE CEO Vince McMahon was the one responsible for Alexa Bliss' removal from this week's Raw. Alexa Bliss seemingly kicked off a feud with Charlotte Flair last week, and fans were pretty excited to see what would happen next. Bliss didn't appear on Raw though, and Flair ended up wrestling a singles match with Nia Jax. As previously reported, Vince McMahon was the loudest and angriest they had ever seen, and tore up the Raw script on various occasions. A source told WrestlingNews.co that there were plans for Alexa Bliss to appear on Raw, but she was removed from the show after McMahon ripped up the script. Alexa Bliss targeted Charlotte Flair following her SummerSlam 2021 win, and it looked like the 2 stars would feud over the Raw Women's Championship. Instead, Flair faced Nia Jax in one of the most awkward in-ring presentations ever seen on WWE TV. The fight seemingly turned into a shoot, and it made for a peculiar visual. Bliss later tweeted that she was present at Raw. The Miz was also scheduled to appear on the show, and was going to wrestle John Morrison. The former WWE champion didn't appear as well, and the reason behind his absence isn't known yet. Vince McMahon has turned WWE into a global media giant over the past few decades. He has been instrumental in professional wrestling's crossover into the mainstream. Raw has been WWE's flagship show over the years, but SmackDown has taken over as the company's premier program with its move to Fox. SmackDown boasts major stars like Becky Lynch and Roman Reigns, and it looks like Raw's dwindling ratings have left Vince McMahon worried and under immense pressure. What do you think? What could Vince McMahon possibly do to turn Raw into a must-watch show again? Do you think Alexa Bliss will be put back in a feud with Flair soon? Share your thoughts below. WWE star Roman Reigns was not allowed to touch Ric Flair at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view in 2019 as Vince McMahon barred the 2-time Hall of Famer from taking any bumps in the ring. While speaking to former WWE interviewer and commentator Renee Paquette, Ric Flair stated that he was ready to take bumps when Vince McMahon called him to take part at Crown Jewel. Flair stated on the oral sessions with Renee Paquette that he understood Vince McMahon's diktat, but was ready to be physical in the ring. When Vince McMahon called me and asked me to go to Saudi Arabia, I worked out like I was going to Saudi Arabia to wrestle, right? The doctor said, you can get knocked down, you can do anything you want, few things you're not supposed to do, but fear is I got that pacemaker taken out. The longer it's in, the more muscle where it's protected, right? So Roman Reigns made this big comeback, and I got up to feed Roman. But Vince had told him, absolutely hands off. I understand it, but like I said, what a way to go, right? Said Ric Flair. Team Flair faced Team Hogan in a 5-on-5 match at Crown Jewel 2019. Hogan's team was led by Reigns, who got his team the win in the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view. Ric Flair's second stint with WWE ended last year, as some business disagreements led to him asking for his release from the company. Flair has asserted that he still has a good relationship with WWE, as well as WWE chairman Vince McMahon. Flair's last involvement in a storyline in WWE saw him take Lacey Evans' side, who was in a feud with his daughter, Charlotte Flair. Flair has been involved in storylines featuring Randy Orton and Batista in recent years in WWE. WWE Raw star Damian Priest is interested in facing a few of WWE's marquee names, including the likes of Roman Reigns, Edge, Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. On the latest After the Bell with Corey Graves podcast, Damian Priest was asked about the WWE stars he would like to face in the future. The former NXT North American champion wants to work with everybody in WWE, but has his eyes set on a few big-name players in WWE, including the likes of Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. "I want to work with everybody. There's a reason why everybody works here. They are really good at what they do, so, for me, I want everybody, but selfishly, yes, I want the marquee names. I want guys like Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor. Goes without saying, Roman Reigns, Edge, Randy Orton. There's just so many people. I've got my buddies Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. Hell yeah, I want to square it off or tag," said Damian Priest. The United States champion yearns for moments with the big stars of WWE in the near future. Damian Priest began his WWE career in 2018 and made his TV debut on NXT in 2019. He quickly rose through the ranks to be a part of Team NXT at Survivor Series in 2019 and won the NXT North American title last year. He was moved to the main roster earlier this year and teamed up with musician Bad Bunny for a high-profile match at WrestleMania 37 against The Miz and Morrison. He won his first title on the main roster last month at SummerSlam, where he defeated Sheamus to become United States champion. PW Insider finally addressed the most trending topic in pro wrestling by revealing all the details regarding what really happened between Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax on Raw. Multiple sources within WWE revealed the match was exactly how it appeared to be for all viewers around the world. It was evident enough that the bout didn't go according to plan, and there were reportedly legitimate moments shared between the two superstars where real punches and slaps were thrown from either side. The actual altercation happened after there was a complete breakdown in communication at one point during the contest. The situation reached a boiling point as there was a brief but legitimate confrontation between the performers. Here's what PW Insider revealed. PWInsider.com is told by several sources that it was exactly what it appeared to be, a match that went awry and led to some legitimate moments where real slaps and punches were lobbed after there was some sort of breakdown in communication. Briefly, there was a legitimate confrontation inside the ring. As the match approached its final stages, Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair reportedly managed to get back on the same page and executed the finish as initially booked by the WWE. The Raw superstars also had no issues backstage after the match, as tensions had already cooled down before they worked towards the match's climax. Nia Jax went over Charlotte Flair as planned in the non-title clash, and WWE could ideally book a rematch at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view on September 26. Both competitors had a rough night at the office on Monday Night Raw, and they also didn't sustain any injuries despite the unforeseen stiffness of the match. The sloppy effort from Flair and Jax unsurprisingly overshadowed the latest Raw episode as fans bombarded social media with relevant queries about what happened between the two established wrestlers. The on-screen rivals would like to move on from the forgettable episode and look forward to having a compelling Extreme Rules storyline over the Raw Women's Championship.